When I think about the political economy of globalization in recent years, if you ask me, give me if the old saw, a picture's worth 1,000 words, I'll give you 2 pictures. Here's one. Here's Lou Dobbs, and some of you may be aware of who Lou Dobbs is. He has a record-breaking show on CNN called Lou Dobbs Tonight, and he's been running a theme on his show for many years now called Exporting America. And the subtitle of his book here is Why Corporate Greed is Shipping American Jobs Overseas. And his more recent book, here's the other picture, 2,000 words, War on the Middle Class, How the Government, Big Business, and Special Interest Groups are Waging War on the American Dream and How to Fight Back. Now, what I've found over the years in my academic and policy circles is a lot of people, when you mention Lou Dobbs, they'll roll their eyes and they say, oh my God, the guy's a crank. He's just out to get ratings. It's just a publicity ploy. An alternative interpretation is Lou Dobbs actually taps in to the opinions of a lot of people in America. I'd love to be able to tell you as I stand here that the former interpretation is correct and we can just kind of laugh and say Lou Dobbs is just out to get good ratings and all of that. But I've spent a bit of time over the years looking at the public opinion evidence about what people think about globalization. And the message of that is Lou Dobbs actually isn't that far off base. So what do people think about globalization? When you think about the policy outcomes I mentioned, the drift away from freer trade and investment in our country, again, put immigration in there as well, right? We've not exactly been able to come to some national consensus on immigration reform in this country in the past year or two. And I'm not claiming in thinking about policy decisions about trade and investment and immigration that economics is the only consideration or should be the predominant consideration. Clearly not. But when you look at kind of how America, or any other country for that matter, forms these policy opinion and policies, what people think, kind of voter preferences, is a really important ingredient for getting a set of policy outcomes. So over the years, I spent a bit of time looking at public opinion evidence, looking at what American voter preferences are about things like globalization. And thanks to the internet, you can find a lot of interesting data that are out there to try to understand what people think about globalization. And I have a dear friend who's an old college roommate who's now a political scientist. We spent some time a few years ago doing a little book where we went back and looked at data all the way back to the 1920s to try to understand what has been the evolution of American thinking about globalization. And here are a few key messages that are important to have in your head. The typical American doesn't like globalization. They oppose freer trade, they oppose more immigration, they oppose and are worried about foreign direct investment. Now, if you know something about public opinion evidence, polling and how you frame questions and things, that all really matters. And what exactly are the answers and the crosstabs you get, very critically sensitive to how you frame questions and who says what and how you phrase it in what order. All that's important, yeah. But a consistent plurality to majority of Americans say they don't want freer trade, they definitely don't want more immigrants coming in, and they're definitely worried about foreign direct investment. Okay? And importantly, a lot of people then, when they're presented with that evidence, say, well, the problem is everyone needs to come to Oakland University and to Dartmouth and Tuck and American schools and learn about all the benefits of globalization. Don't Americans understand that when they go to Walmart every Saturday, how much globalization benefits them, or when they go to Best Buy, like we talked about earlier, because they've got lower prices and greater choices, and that globalization is a great thing? Not quite. Yes, Americans get it. 80–90% of Americans, when you look at the public opinion questions, will acknowledge all the benefits of globalization that the business community, policy people, and academics talk about. It's not that people don't understand the benefits, but people express deep and wide concerns about the labor market pressures of globalization. Right? Perceived pressures on job separations, and importantly, perceived pressures on wages. People are pretty sophisticated, and when I think about it as an economist, they care about their real earnings. That is, their inflation-adjusted earnings. Yes, they are sophisticated enough to understand, yeah, I benefit as a consumer in terms of enjoying lower prices when I go to Walmart, but I also care what's happening in my W-2 and my employment opportunities and what kind of job I have. Yeah.